Buenos días, ¿cómo les va?
Hola, Carlos.
Hola, Carlos.
Ya le escribí a tiempo, pero no me ha contestado. Vamos a ver qué pasa. Recuerden cerrar sus micrófonos para que no tengamos ecos y ruidos de fondo. Ya hablé con el Khempo, ya se va a conectar.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, Khempo. How are you?
Oh, now you changed the color. It's now green.
Yes.
Oh, it's blue.
Blue.
Blue. Nice. It looks nice.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Khempo.
It's like a small monastery.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So good evening. And now today, we are going to talk about 6 paramitas because each of them are instructions. So that's what we are going to do. Then we finished, instruction number 24. So now it starts from 25, so until 30th. Those are the 6 paramitas. So now today we will discuss briefly about 6 paramita, but of course we all have heard a lot, about paramitas, but it's always good to refresh our mind. So, in general, when we say dharma, the Tibetan word is che, then the actual dharma that from the practice point of view are the 6 paramitas. Because besides 6 paramita, there isn't really anything that we actually practice. So the real meaning of, of the dharma, practicing dharma, are actually that includes 6 paramitas, so to say. Like, for example, generosity, of course, is dharma, right? Giving, help to other people, all that. Discipline in terms of, doing virtuous things, not, engaging in negative things, is dharma. So in short, in short, remember the other day I talked about, the 3 disciplines: discipline of moral ethic, discipline of, samadhi, meditation, concentration, and then discipline of wisdom. So 6 paramita actually. This 6 paramita includes those three disciplines. So which means the heart of dharma is really these 6 kinds of perfections, these 6 kinds of trainings that we try to engage in. So now we will discuss briefly about them. Okay.
Muy buenos días. Hoy vamos a hablar de las 6 paramitas. El domingo pasado terminamos con el verso número 24 y hoy vamos a revisar los versos 25 a 30, que estos corresponden a las 6 paramitas. Ustedes ya probablemente han oído bastante sobre las 6 paramitas, pero de todas formas es bueno recordarlas, porque Dharma en tibetano se dice Cho y Cho se puede decir son las 6 paramitas. Eso es lo que nosotros practicamos todo el tiempo. Entonces, por ejemplo, la primera, la generosidad, eso es Dharma, ¿sí? Porque es darnos a los demás en lo físico y en lo espiritual y en todo. La segunda, disciplina, también es Dharma. Y pues todas así, hasta el Samadhi y sabiduría. Entonces, hoy vamos a revisar estas 6 estrofas que nos hablan de las 6 perfecciones o 6 entrenamientos. Ok, Khempo.
So, but important thing we need to remember is, is these different kinds of intention that, we experience behind this, behind these actions. So therefore, depending on my intention, accordingly, my practice, accordingly, then my practice brings about result. Accordingly, my practice becomes, either a very pure practice or not a very pure practice, or in other words, it can become more like common practice of common people. And it can also become, this very unique or, yes, very unique, uncommon practice because, of our motivation, our intention behind that. We're supposed to always sort of engage in these 6 paramitas out of compassion, out of kindness, generally out of goodness of our heart, right? But I think we really try to do our best, and we try most of the time, maybe we do those things out of the goodness of our heart. But unfortunately, we as a common people, we are very much secretly, secretly controlled by our ego clinging, by our self clinging. So sometimes it's almost like impossible for me not to develop this, not to develop this intention of, self or self-benefit, so to speak. It's not that I am intentionally doing it, but because I have not yet realized emptiness, and I am a very ordinary common person. So therefore, I'm born with this notion of the self. So I cannot help but only feel this, notion of self in these practices. So these, due to these reasons of different types of intention, and especially because every common person or common sentient beings are rooted or are, so very strongly overpowered by this notion of I, me and my. So our motivation, so to speak, due to that becomes a little bit mundane, so to speak, reason behind that. So anyway, so these are, things that we now need to develop, we need to understand, and then try to, as much as we can, improve them. Okay.
Pero antes de empezar a examinar estas 6 paramitas, debemos recordar que hay diferentes tipos de intención o de motivación detrás de los actos que nosotros acometemos. Y dependiendo de la motivación que yo tenga, el resultado de mi práctica será uno u otro. Puede que yo tenga una motivación muy pura, o puede que tenga una motivación no tan pura, o puede que tenga una motivación ordinaria. Y eso determinará el efecto que tenga mi práctica. Lo ideal sería obviamente que todo lo que nosotros hacemos estuviera basado en una compasión muy pura, en un amor bondadoso muy puro. O podríamos resumirlo como pues, un corazón muy bondadoso, ¿sí? Pero a veces, como personas ordinarias que somos, seguimos afectados por nuestro aferramiento al ego, y este aferramiento al ego hace que nosotros no solamente estemos buscando el beneficio para los demás, sino también un beneficio para nosotros mismos, para nuestra ganancia, digamos. Puede que esto no lo hagamos de manera intencional, pero sí lo hacemos debido, digamos, a nuestros hábitos, a nuestro karma. Entonces, todavía nosotros, por seguir teniendo la ilusión del ego, digamos, seguimos bajo la influencia de este karma, de esta tendencia, y por eso podemos tener motivaciones no muy puras. Pero pues se trata de reconocer esta situación y tratar de cambiarla, tratar de mejorar nuestra motivación. Ok, Khempo.
Okay, so all right, now we start with generosity. We know what it means, more or less, generosity as in, giving actually is the real meaning of giving. So there are many different ways, or we can say the nature of giving actually. Sometimes we give to gain something, that's also giving, meaning that we help other people so that in future, they may help me. So it's also a sort of giving, of course. These are not negative, so please don't think it's a negative thing to do. And then sometimes, first, let's say what we give. A lot of things actually. Giving is really like most important part of our life. Giving as in sharing, Sometimes we think give means you give something and then you will lose it completely. This is a wrong, idea about giving. It's very much sharing, actually. I can share my, my wealth. I can share my happiness. I can even share my sadness. I can share my knowledge. I can share my kindness, compassion, everything with sentient beings. So it's that when I share, I'm giving. So in this way, then you can see that when we share, we grow together. When I share my wealth, of course, with me, the other person also, experience wealth. So that's growing. In the same way, when you share love, kindness, you develop love in yourself, you bring love and kindness in other people. That's how you share. It's very much like, parenting, or it's very much like how parents bring up their kids. It's a very good example, actually. I think parents are the one who really knows the real meaning of giving, because they really give everything, and they give it very selflessly, I would say, actually. That's my thinking. I don't think every parent is kind of thinking that, I'm going to do this for my kids so that in the future I can benefit from them. I don't think that idea is there in them at all. So it's a very good example in my understanding, how our both father and mother uh, really give everything to their children. It's bringing up. It's a way of bringing up, actually, how they want them the best, right? In the same way, we can also think for other sentient beings. Why we cannot think like we want the best in other people too? You have the best in the world. So this way of sharing one's love, kindness, wealth, education to other people, of course, is part of our life, right? So that's why I earlier said that the first three are very important in our life, and we always, always experience these three in our life all the time. So that's why, from the generosity or giving or sharing becomes so important for for our own growth. If I did not give my share, my knowledge, my education, my wealth, whatever I may have, I do not have to be a very rich here. Okay? When I am born, I always have something to give, always have something to share. So it is not about being rich or not being rich. Sometimes people may think, oh, I have nothing to give. That's actually not true. You have so much to give in terms of your knowledge, actually, your wisdom, your mind, actually, your mind is very rich. In your mind, you have many rich things that you can share with other people, which is more beneficial than actually giving a wealth to other people. So these are things we need to keep in mind, and we should know that in our life we are all the time practicing generosity. So we should not think that we are not practicing generosity. When you think of us, there, whoever is born and whoever is adult or even a kid, they always, there was always a time in life when they share, when they give, actually. So it's part of our life, in fact. So it's not that we're not, that generosity was not part of my life, or that I never practiced generosity. Because sometimes people think like this. People think, oh, I'm not practicing generosity because I am not rich enough. So we are thinking more from wealth point of view. So generosity is not only about wealth. It's actually more about other things than the wealth. So, okay.
Bueno, vamos ahora a hablar de la generosidad. Yo creo que todos sabemos de qué se trata la generosidad. Se trata de dar. Pero pues hay diferentes formas de dar o diferentes naturalezas en el acto de dar. Por ejemplo, puede ser que nosotros demos para recibir algo, o sea, que estemos dando algo para después recibir algo. Esto no es malo en sí, simplemente pues es una forma de generosidad en la que estamos dando para recibir algo, pero pues esta no es la motivación más alta. También podemos entender la generosidad como el compartir, porque generosidad no solamente quiere decir que damos algo y entonces perdemos lo que dimos porque ya lo entregamos. Simplemente el compartir es parte de la generosidad y nosotros podemos compartir nuestro dinero, nuestra felicidad, nuestra tristeza, nuestro conocimiento, nuestra amabilidad, todo esto. Dar nos permite crecer juntos, porque crecen tanto el que da como el que recibe, ¿sí? Un buen ejemplo de cómo es dar o compartir sería el de los padres cuando están criando a sus hijos, ¿sí? Los padres, se puede decir, están permanentemente viendo qué pueden compartir con sus hijos, su conocimiento, su dinero, su casa, su experiencia, todo eso. Y pues yo no creería, dice el tiempo, que los padres estén pensando siempre, uy, yo debo darles esto a mis hijos porque después mis hijos me van a ayudar cuando yo esté viejo o lo que sea. No, sino simplemente lo hacen porque esa es su naturaleza, digamos, eso es lo que quieren hacer y están pensando en el bienestar de los hijos. Esa es la primera paramita. Las otras, las tres primeras, la segunda es el comportamiento significativo y la tercera la paciencia. Todas son muy importantes en nuestra vida. Se puede decir, las tres, generosidad, comportamiento significativo y paciencia, las tenemos que practicar permanentemente en nuestra vida. La generosidad es muy importante para nuestro crecimiento y también hay que entender que generosidad no significa simplemente dar dinero, dar cosas y pensar que si yo no soy muy rico, pues no tengo nada que dar, porque siempre tenemos algo que dar. Podemos compartir nuestro conocimiento, nuestra sabiduría, todo lo que hay en nuestra mente. Nuestra mente es algo muy rico y ahí tenemos mucho que compartir. Esto se puede decir es aún más beneficioso que compartir cosas materiales. Todo el mundo da en algún momento. Algunas personas tienen la idea de que ellos no tienen nada que dar y que no pueden dar nada, pero eso no es cierto. Todo el mundo puede dar y hay que dejar de pensar que la generosidad es simplemente entregar dinero o cosas materiales. Okay, Khempo?
I'm thinking that, maybe it's just my thinking. The more we practice giving, the more selfless we actually become. I think that's a reality. It's a very good practice of emptiness, maybe in some ways, in terms of selfless. The more I cling to everything, I become more, more selfish. I become more greedy because of my clinging. Like the more I cling to my wealth, the more I cling to my education. You don't want to share your education knowledge. Here, perhaps we can say dharma. It's a knowledge, it's a wisdom. Some people are that way, that they somehow, maybe out of jealousy, they don't want to exactly share everything. If we did that, then we become more, my state of the mind, actually, as you can see, becomes more and more impure actually here because of my ego. So, but then it's opposite when we, when we train ourselves in giving. The more and more and more we give, we are able to give more and more and more, right? The less we give, the less and less we give. This is what I meant. It's actually that way, really. I mean, we can experience in our life. First, let's say you are this person who never give anything to anybody. And you are like this person with this attitude, why should I give? I earned this very hard way and I didn't earn this to give. Why should I give? A lot of attitude like this. But then one day this person is like, okay, what's the big deal? So he or she just gives some very little thing. And then some other day, it's like, okay, another time. Slowly, this person somehow then doesn't really mind giving somehow. Earlier, this person was always about, why should I give? Now, this person doesn't really mind that much. Still, he or she minds because we have this clinging. So you see what I'm saying? Just by giving, we are actually training ourselves how to let go of. We are letting go of our clinging to whatsoever. Can be to your knowledge, can be to your wealth, or anything, or kindness. Like some people have this attitude, why I have to be kind to them, right? Like some people have this attitude, oh, they don't deserve compassion. It's kind of strange, but some people really have this attitude. Like these people, they don't deserve kindness. They don't deserve, love. This is a very strange thought, but unfortunate in our world, there are people like that. How strange is that? So therefore, they're like, no, we are not going to be kind to them, so to say. In this way, then those people with those kind of mental attitude, as you can see, these are, very self-absorbed people. But at the same time, if we start, giving, let's say, practicing generosity, then that can change. This attitude can change. Like, so in this way, really, we should just, give. That's it. We don't have to wait for someone to tell us, now is the time for you to practice generosity. No, we don't have to wait for Karmapa to say that, or some other teacher, because we are used to these things. We are used to these things, like until Lama says, do these things, we think that we are not supposed to do that. There may be something, but not not like that, actually. We can pretty much do these things, because if we waited for our lamas to say, now you start generosity, now you start discipline, it's never going to happen. So we just have to do it. We just have to train, not do, but we just have to train ourselves in this, attitude of giving. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, we must recognize that this is the opportunity, and we, at that very point of time, should do our best in training ourselves in giving. Because we really, experience a lot of this opportunity of giving in our life all the time. But we don't train that much of giving in our life that much, right? So when the opportunity itself is presenting to me to train and to accomplish generosity, why I am, not doing that? Why I am letting go that opportunity, let's put it this way. Okay.
La generosidad, digamos, tiene una cualidad, y es que mientras nosotros más damos, más generosos nos volvemos. Y esta es una práctica que nos ayuda a desapegarnos a nuestro ego, ¿sí? En cambio, si nos vamos por el otro camino y no damos, cada vez, digamos, nos volveremos como más avaros y tendremos un estado mental más confuso. Entonces, debemos tratar de dar, porque eso nos llevará a cada vez dar más y más y más. Algunas personas, desafortunadamente, tienen la mentalidad contraria. Dicen, pero ¿y por qué tengo que compartir lo mío? Si lo gané con tanto trabajo y es mío. Pues si ellos quieren, pues que trabajen, que se lo ganen también, pero yo no voy a compartir nada. Esto pues obviamente los lleva a, como ya dijimos, a estados mentales muy confusos. En cambio, si esa misma persona puede decir, bueno, sí, yo lo gané con mucho trabajo, pero puedo compartir un poquito, así es un poquito, nada importante, digamos. Ese acto de ser generoso puede llevarlo a que cada vez tenga más y más generosidad. Entonces, debemos entender que dando, nos estamos entrenando en entregarnos, en abrirnos como bodhisattvas. Otras personas pueden tener la actitud contraria de decir, ese personaje no merece mi compasión, no merece mi amabilidad, ¿sí? Y entonces pues no quieren desarrollar ningún tipo de amabilidad con esas personas. Eso también es muy negativo, digamos, muy contraproducente. En cambio, si nosotros practicamos la generosidad, nuestra actitud cambia y nos volvemos personas más amables. Ahora, no tenemos que esperar a que el Karmapa o un gran lama venga y nos diga, ahora ya tienes el empoderamiento para practicar la generosidad. No, eso no es así. La generosidad la podemos empezar a practicar en cualquier momento. De hecho, la generosidad es algo que está presente en nuestra vida. Tenemos infinitas oportunidades de ser generosos, entonces lo que debemos hacer es entrenarnos en cada vez tratar de aprovechar mejor todas las oportunidades. ¿Por qué no aprovecharlas si están ahí, presentes? Ok, Khempo.
Yes, so yes, we really, should do our best in in the practice of the generosity. So now moving on to the next, which is then the second perfection. So they're connected in some ways. So second perfection is, or paramita perfection, is about discipline. Discipline, as here, is more about discipline regarding the negative actions, meaning that, avoiding all kinds of negative actions is what the discipline is all about. So then this includes, practicing karma, because if we did not practice karma, I don't think we can practice this discipline. In order to, have a good understanding of the meaning of discipline, we have to have a good understanding of the karma, right? So that means that, what brings about all kinds of pain and suffering and difficulty in our life, and what brings about all the goodness in our life, so to speak. So that's about karma. In short, we know that this is because of the good karmas and the bad karmas, the consequences of the good karma and the bad karma. So the knowledge of this karma, this very, very profound karma, helps me automatically, I think, to practice this discipline. Because with this knowledge of, the consequences of good karma and bad karma, one naturally then avoid or do one's best to abandon all kinds of bad karmas, all kinds of negative karmas. Because who wants to bring unnecessary, pain, suffering, and difficulty in one's life? So the knowledge of the karma is very powerful, actually. Like everything, we are all same that we want we want a good life, let's say. And we are all same that we don't want a bad life. That's same. So therefore, it is quite natural when people find out how can they have a good life, and how can they avoid a bad life. When they find out that, then it's very natural for them to do their best to avoid all the things that may prevent one from having a good life, and then do everything in one's power to, do all those things that brings about a good life. So it's very natural, actually, so to speak. But that really depends on the knowledge of the karma, right? Consequences, as we say, they are connected in this way. Okay, first that much. Okay.
Bueno, ya con esto terminamos el verso número 25 sobre generosidad. Voy a leerlo porque no lo leímos al principio. Dice, cuando aquellos que desean la iluminación regalan hasta su cuerpo, ¿qué decir de las cosas externas? Por lo tanto, sin esperanza, recompensa o fruto, dar generosamente es la práctica de los bodhisattvas. Ese era el verso sobre la generosidad. Ahora seguimos con el verso 26, que se refiere a la disciplina o al comportamiento ético. Y voy a leerlo. Dice, si, carente de disciplina, no puedes beneficiarte a ti mismo, desear el beneficio de los demás es ridículo. En consecuencia, mantener la disciplina sin los deseos del samsara es la práctica de los bodhisattvas. Bueno, este verso 26 entonces se refiere a la segunda de las paramitas o de las virtudes trascendentales que trata sobre el comportamiento significativo o la disciplina, ¿sí? Y la disciplina acá se refiere básicamente a evitar las acciones que nos podrían traer malas consecuencias, o sea, karma negativo. Entonces, pues podríamos decir, el entendimiento correcto de las leyes del karma nos permite una correcta aplicación de esta segunda paramita o la paramita de la disciplina. Porque con el entendimiento correcto del karma, nosotros podemos discernir entre cuáles son las acciones positivas que traerán, digamos, bienestar a nuestra vida y cuáles son las acciones negativas que mejor debemos evitar. Entonces, pues el conocimiento del karma es algo básico para poder practicar la disciplina. Porque así, sabiendo qué es lo negativo, podemos evitar el sufrimiento en nuestras vidas y dado que todos los seres queremos tener una buena vida y evitar lo negativo. Entonces, con el conocimiento del karma, podemos dedicarnos a hacer lo adecuado y a evitar lo inadecuado. Okay.
You know, here, when we talk about bad karma, negative karma, why we call it negative is because, you know, these kind of actions are harmful actions, actually. An action that brings harm to other people. When we bring harm to other people, then of course we bring suffering to them. Harm and suffering are synonymous in this case. So therefore, the cause, you know, for this kind of harm, if I'm harming someone, are our emotions, are our negative emotions. It can be jealousy, it can be pride, it can be anger. These are the state of the mind. And because of this, you know, mind, then we accordingly behave, you know, physically. And our physical action becomes, you know, harmful for oneself and for other people. And then in return, everybody suffers. Not the only people who have been harmed, but you also suffer. So that's the meaning of when we say negative or suffering. So discipline here is about, you know, developing, or it's about changing one's that harmful attitude, that harmful behavior that I may have, so to speak. So that's really the meaning of discipline in this case. It's a very, I'm speaking from a very basic point of view, not really from the bodhisattva or any kind of point of view. So, yes, so then in order for one to, let's say, you know, change one's that behavior, one need to change one's state of the mind, actually. Without a proper mind training, without a proper, help of mind training teachings, it's quite hard for that. So in this case, then there are three things actually, or three states of the mind. Mindfulness is very, very important to develop the mindfulness. Second is, you know, recollection, recollection. And third is awareness. In Tibetan, we have different words for them, so therefore I'm saying them differently. Like for mindfulness, in Tibetan, the word is pak yut. Then for recollection, the word is denpa. And then for awareness, the word in Tibetan is she yin. They have slightly different characteristics to them. So, for example, mindfulness is the ground for, you know, for training oneself, let's say in karma. I have to be mindful of my actions of the body, speech, and mind, right? So it relates more to those physical behavior. The second two, which is recollection and awareness or vigilant, are more related with the state of the mind rather than the physical behavior. State of the mind as in like mindful recollection and awareness helps one to develop a lot of clarity actually in one's mind. So it helps one to overcome lots of confusion and yes, and obscuration in general, actually, when that is developed. And when our mind are, or when our mind experiences these qualities of mindfulness, recollection, and awareness, those potentials, when it is present in us, then we tend to really behave very, very properly, actually. And then when these abilities are absent in our mind, then we tend to behave in a very, let's say, in a negative way. So from the mind training point of view, it says that, we should focus on developing mindfulness, recollection, and then awareness. Okay.
Bueno, y mencionamos karma positivo y negativo. ¿Cómo entender esto? Pues el karma negativo son todas las acciones que nosotros hacemos y que traen daño para otras personas o para nosotros mismos. Y examinemos cuál es el origen de este actuar equivocado, digamos. Y al examinar el origen, encontramos que está basado en nuestras emociones. Emociones como, por ejemplo, los celos, el orgullo o la ira. Estas emociones entonces nos llevan a actuar físicamente de una manera adecuada que haga daño a los demás, pero el daño no solamente es para los demás, sino que también es para nosotros mismos. Entonces, cuando hablamos de disciplina, lo que estamos tratando es de generar en nosotros un cambio en nuestro comportamiento, evitar todos nuestros comportamientos negativos. Y aquí estamos hablando desde el punto de vista de una persona ordinaria, como nosotros, que estamos todavía afectados por la confusión. No estamos hablando de la disciplina de un bodhisattva o de la disciplina desde el punto de vista de un bodhisattva, que sería diferente. Lo que nosotros necesitamos entonces es generar un cambio mental. Y aquí podemos hablar de tres aspectos diferentes de la mente, digamos. Por un lado tenemos mindfulness o la atención plena, ¿sí? Por el otro lado tenemos en inglés recollection, en tibetano dempa, y en español yo diría como es que no sé cómo traducir recollection, es como recordar, como no solamente es la atención plena, sino el recordar qué es lo que estamos haciendo, ¿sí? Y el tercero es awareness en inglés, shejin en tibetano, y en español lo podíamos traducir como claridad, ¿sí? La primera, la atención plena, el mindfulness, podremos decir entonces que es la base para la práctica del Dharma. Por ahí comenzamos porque con la atención plena lo que estamos haciendo es tratarnos de darnos cuenta de cuál es nuestro estado mental en cada momento, ¿sí? Mientras que el segundo, Dempa y Shejin, tienen que bueno, el mindfulness también tiene que ver no solamente con nuestro estado mental, sino con nuestro actuar, ¿sí? Todo nuestro comportamiento. Mientras que el segundo y el tercero, Dempa y Shejin, tienen que ver solamente con nuestro estado de la mente y sirven, pues, obviamente, para desarrollar cada vez más claridad. Cuando nosotros logramos experimentar entonces estas tres cualidades de la mente, nos comportamos de una manera muy adecuada. En cambio, si estamos, digamos, confusos u obnubilados, entonces no tendremos esta claridad y nuestro comportamiento podrá ser negativo. Okay, Khempo.
All right. So, okay, now discipline in general, like also, commonly speaking, discipline is the most important thing in, I guess, culturally speaking, right? Culturally speaking, discipline is considered the most important quality of a human being. We decide whether or not that person is a good or not because of their behavior, So even in a society, people are sort of decided or they are labeled, decided, they are sort of put into these different groups because of their behavior. So that's why not only in Dharma, but also in the world, behavior is the most important quality, a person actually really needs in order to, develop, in order to grow, so to speak. And then, of course, in Dharma, it is even more important. Why? Because through discipline, through this proper discipline, all the good qualities are actually born. Like all of the great masters, including Shantideva, says that all of the good qualities of the sublime beings are result of their good discipline. So therefore, it is very highly advised that we as a practitioner, if you want to gain, a higher quality of the realization of the Dharma, let's say the qualities of the higher qualities of the mind in terms of bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, without the ground of a proper discipline. Here, this discipline is not regarding the physical discipline. Here, the discipline is regarding the state of the mind, which is ground for that discipline, right? Because from there, all of the qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is born. So that's why, it is said by Nagarjuna that discipline is like the earth where everything grows. In the same way, on the ground of discipline, all of the qualities of sublime beings are, born. So like it is true, if we think of ourselves also, it is true actually. When my mind is not, when my mind is not well disciplined, then I can experience lots of, misbehaviors because my mind is not. How do we discipline our mind is concerned? We discipline our mind through mind training teachings. First, we need to remember that. Now, since we have got lots of teachings on the mind training, so we use this kind of mind training, especially like loving, kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. These are the very root of that. And then mindfulness. Then after actually comes meditation. Okay? So we have loving, kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and then all the different types of meditation. When we train in them, our mind is well trained. Our mind only, let's say, behaves from the perspective of kindness, from the perspective of love, from the perspective of, let's say, bodhicitta, from the perspective of wisdom, okay? Let's put it this way. Then I cannot behave in an improper way, because these are the most proper things. But when my mind, when I have no mind training teaching at all, when I have no mind training at all, let's say, then my mind is very mundane. Then my mind is, full of emotions, confusion, ignorance. Naturally, my mind behaves in a very, very, in a very mundane and common, impure way because of lack of that. So now you see how through mind training, we train our mind, then we develop this the most proper, discipline of the mind, through where then all these qualities of the mind of higher realization of any kind is actually born.
La disciplina se puede decir que es una de las cualidades más importantes en general cuando estamos juzgando a una persona. Nosotros decimos es una buena persona o una mala persona con base en su comportamiento, así los catalogamos. Y esto es cierto no solamente en el Dharma, sino también en el mundo ordinario. Pero en el Dharma tiene un significado aún mucho más importante, y eso lo vemos en todas partes, digamos. En los comentarios de Shantideva, él dice que todas las demás cualidades derivan de la disciplina que nosotros tengamos. Mientras tanto, en cambio, digamos, si no tenemos disciplina, entonces esas otras cualidades no podrán presentarse. Ahora, aquí ya no solamente nos estamos refiriendo a la disciplina de nuestro comportamiento físico, sino también a la disciplina mental, ¿sí? Por eso también se dice que la disciplina es como la tierra, entendida la tierra como el sitio donde se pueden sembrar las cosas y todo crece. Entonces, si nuestra mente no está disciplinada, nosotros corremos el riesgo, o casi con seguridad, de que tendremos o estaremos ejecutando malos comportamientos. Por eso es indispensable el entrenamiento mental. Y aquí el entrenamiento mental lo entendemos como primero desarrollar nuestro amor bondadoso, después desarrollar la bodhicitta y seguir desarrollándonos por medio de las diferentes meditaciones. Con el entrenamiento mental, entonces nuestra mente se entrena en comportarse siempre basada en el amor, en la compasión, en la bodhicitta, en las 6 paramitas, etc. ¿Sí? En cambio, sin entrenamiento mental, nuestra mente será una mente mundana, llena de confusión, de emociones perturbadoras. Entonces, el entrenamiento mental es básico para el desarrollo superior. Okay.
So manners are really very important. That's what Buddha is teaching, right? In our world, we always teach, kids, about manners, good manners, bad manners. Same thing Buddha is teaching us also, except that here it's, it's taught in a very major way, I guess, with, with all the teachings about mind. But basically, yes, it's about manner. We really need to develop our manner, and then through developing that manner, we develop, this source of benefit for others, source of benefit for oneself, source of virtues, and goodness, actually, source of all kind of goodness through that manner. That's why it's actually, this teaching it became very important. Okay, and now we move on to the third one. So the third paramita. So then that's 25, 26, is 27, right? I forgot verse number 27, I guess, the instruction. Well, we have heard many times about, about this perfection of the patience. So, but in short, again, patience is is source of actually goodness, I think, because people who have patience, tend to be good people somehow, in my understanding. Again, I'm saying from a very basic point of view. And then those people who at all have no patience, it's not about impatient, it's a little bit different. People impatient is, anyone can be impatient, so it's not that. Here, when we say patience, then like when you have a lot of love in you, kindness in you, compassion in you, somehow you have this, capacity of patience. You have patience just like that. You are not hurt. You're not, you don't feel that emotion of anger, so to speak. I actually said this briefly before too. I actually really think that those people who gain a very good understanding of Dharma, and they gain this quite, strong renunciation in them towards samsaric behaviors. So those people, good practitioners with this kind of renunciation, they really will not be at all, disturbed or harmed, because they have this, this renunciation, this realization. Actually, renunciation is a very good realization in them. Realization of, let's say, of the essencelessness nature of life, realization of the, this nature of sentient being, actually, how sentient being, meaning like, realization nature of the emotion of the sentient beings, how they behave, how they suffer. So when you have that kind of very strong understanding in you, knowledge in you about other people, then when those people harm you, you don't really mind it, actually, because you have this very strong realization and a knowledge in you, right? So that's the what's the ground of the ability to have patience. Here, it's not only patience. I think this kind of good yogis, I mean, we don't have to say good yogi, but a person with such kind of a good knowledge about Dharma, they feel so much kindness and compassion to those people, actually. Like I always say that patience is really, in essence, the true patience, in essence, is actually compassion, is actually kindness. So they experience that. Why I'm saying this is because we are all, Buddhist, and we have Dharma knowledge to some extent. Perhaps our patience towards samsara is better than those who are not Buddhist. It does not mean that we have, that our patience is, perfect. because our patient is not perfect, therefore we feel like, you know, we don't have patience. But when you you don't have to compare, but when you like, you know, see how those other people behave and then how you behave, then there is a difference. Is that right? I'm thinking maybe there should actually be that difference. Really, there should be that difference. So that actually shows that our, you know, that going to these teachings, going to these courses has paid off, actually, because somehow deep down inside, you have developed that, you know, ability of patience in you to some extent. Or you can think yourself like before you became Buddhist and after you became Buddhist. If you can
I'm sorry,
think some,
could you repeat
yeah,
the
you
last?
can actually think like yourself, because I was born as a Buddhist, so I can't say this to myself. But you guys were raised as not a Buddhist, you know. You became Buddhist much later in your life. So perhaps you can see a difference in your behavior. That's what I meant in terms of your emotions. So that
Okay.
actually is also about patience.
Okay, thank you. Bueno, entonces la disciplina, digamos, también podríamos resumirla como buenas maneras, ¿sí? Y son muy importantes. De hecho, como padres, aquellos que tenemos hijos, pues lo que tratamos de hacer es enseñarles buenas maneras a nuestros hijos y pues desincentivarles las malas maneras. De esa forma obtenemos beneficio para nosotros y para los demás. Bueno, ahora seguimos con la tercera paramita, la de la paciencia. Es el verso 27, voy a leerlo. Para los bodhisattvas que desean riqueza en la virtud, aquellos que causan daño son como un precioso tesoro. Por ello, hacia todos cultiva paciencia sin hostilidad. Esta es la práctica de los bodhisattvas. Podríamos decir, la paciencia es como la bondad, ¿sí? La gente que es paciente es buena gente, básicamente. Si la gente es paciente, quiere decir que tiene o mejor dicho, si logramos desarrollar amor en nuestra mente, amor bondadoso en nuestra mente, entonces la paciencia será un resultado natural en nosotros y cada vez tendremos menos ira. Y la causa es el amor bondadoso, ¿sí? Si desarrollamos un buen entendimiento del Dharma y también tenemos una buena renuncia, digamos, eso nos convierte en buenos practicantes. ¿Y qué quiere decir que podremos ser buenos practicantes? Que no estaremos muy perturbados. Y eso lo lograremos por una buena realización de la ausencia de existencia básica en la vida, ¿sí? Entonces, cuando un buen practicante, no necesariamente un yogi, sino alguien que sea un buen practicante, recibe una ofensa, pues no se ve afectado porque tiene una buena base para la paciencia, ¿sí? La paciencia, entonces, podríamos entenderla también como idéntica con la compasión o con el amor bondadoso. Todos nosotros somos budistas, todos nosotros hemos recibido enseñanzas del Dharma y nuestra paciencia debería ser mayor que la paciencia de los no budistas, ¿sí? Ahora, no quiere decir que nuestra paciencia en este momento sea perfecta, pero si pudiéramos observar el comportamiento de los no budistas, deberíamos encontrar una diferencia, ¿sí? Y el Khempo dice, esto debería ser más notorio en ustedes, porque pues yo nací como budista, en cambio ustedes han acogido el budista en una etapa mucho más tardía en sus vidas y deberían poder ver la diferencia en el desarrollo de la paciencia y del amor bondadoso gracias al entrenamiento que han recibido en el Dharma. Ok, Khempo.
you know, let's say a mother's love to her child. Let's say this mother has this child, a kid or a boy who is, in a very bad shape and who is having very difficulty in his life. And he of course behaves very, very violently. He's a very violent person, very aggressive, yes. Let's say there's this kid. The mother, when she sees this kid, she feels sad, right? Why? It's because of her love actually to that person. Whenever she sees him behaving that way, she doesn't get angry. Even if she gets angry, it's because of her love actually. So she has so much tolerance in her. Her tolerance is not thinking that, oh, I have to go through this. No, actually. Her tolerance is, the power of that kind of tolerance is her love to that boy. So it's same, that's what I'm trying to tell here actually. When we as a Buddhist understand the sentient being, and this sentient being is like this boy, who behaves so very aggressively because his mind is very aggressive. So whatever these people do, they do this out of their emotion and anger and all that. So as a Buddhist or as a practitioner, when we realize that, right, then we feel this sadness. Sadness here is because the renunciation. In Tibetan, we have a word called choshe. It does mean sadness. But this sadness is born out of the realization actually of the nature of samsaric mind. So it's connected with renunciation. It's also connected with compassion. There is sadness, there's compassion, and there is renunciation, right? These qualities are interconnected. If I do have that kind of a very strong, very strong mind or realization, then I really will be able to have this great patience towards everything. It come up on Michio Dorje's Guru Yoga. There is a word actually, line he says that the word according to Tibetan is, he says, the Tibetan word is, he kind of says, may, he says, please bless my mind with a very strong, please bless my mind with a very strong bone. The word is bone, like, bone. That's a metaphor, actually a metaphor. So that bone that Karmapa was referring to is these things, is this sadness, is this renunciation, and then is this, compassion, actually, these three. So, like in our short Guru Yoga, right? Like in our short, short lineage prayer. Remember, it says renunciation is the foot of meditation, I think. I think renunciation, the foot of meditation, right? So anyway, so what I'm trying to tell us is that it's very important for us to always remember the teachings and meaning of the teachings, especially the Mondo teachings, like teachings on impermanence, teaching on the meaning of, precious human life, teaching on the meaning of samsara, why it is called samsara, the teaching of the cause of suffering and suffering. It's very important actually, because through this kind of teachings based on these four kind of thoughts is what will bring about this great renunciation, which really will become the best ground for, for the highest patience. Okay.
Kempo, when you were talking about the 8 Karmapa Guru Yoga, you mentioned burn, like burning with something very hot.
Bone.
Ah, bone. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like bone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bueno, entonces podemos pensar en el amor de una madre por su hijo cuando está en una situación muy difícil. Y puede ser que entonces el niño se comporte de manera agresiva, que grite, patalee, todo eso. Ella puede sentirse triste por el comportamiento de su hijo, pero es por su amor, ¿sí? Ella no se pone iracunda, sino que por su amor entonces desarrolla tolerancia, entendiendo que el comportamiento de su hijo deriva de que se está sintiendo mal. Y eso es cierto no solamente para su hijo, sino para todos los seres. En general, cuando nos sentimos mal, nos comportamos mal. En tibetano existe un término que se llama touché, que se podría traducir al inglés como sadness, y en español sería como tristeza. Pero es una tristeza que está basada en el amor bondadoso, en la compasión y en la renuncia. Estos tres conceptos están totalmente interconectados. De hecho, en la meditación del Mikyo Dorje del octavo Karmapa, en el Guru Yoga del octavo Karmapa, hay una línea que dice, por favor, bendice mi mente con un hueso muy fuerte, entendiéndose entonces hueso como la médula, como lo más básico de todo. También creo que es en la oración de Dorje Chang, o en la oración del linaje, se dice que la renuncia es el pie o la base de la meditación. Esto nos lleva entonces a que debemos permanentemente tratar de recordar las enseñanzas que hemos recibido, enseñanzas sobre la impermanencia, sobre los 4 pensamientos que alejan nuestra mente de la existencia cíclica, sobre el nondro, ¿sí? Porque esta es la forma en la que nosotros podremos, digamos, generar un cambio en nuestra mente. Ok, Kempo.
Okay, all right. So now we'll move on. Fourth, right? Fourth perfection. So the fourth perfection is diligence. Diligence, it's something that we know commonly. We know what it means, diligence, because if you want to be successful, then without diligence, I think that's not possible. So if you want to be successful in life, you have to be very hardworking. We always say that. And you are a very hardworking person is because of the ability of diligence in you, so to speak. So that's very much the meaning here. Of course, here we are talking more from Dharma point of view, not from the worldly point of view. I think as far as this diligence is concerned, diligence regarding Dharma is concerned, it's really, the source of that really is the Dharma knowledge. And it's really the renunciation again, I must say, because renunciation is really the root of liberation, actually. When I have that kind of renunciation earlier, then I will not waste even a moment of my life, without practicing, so to speak. All these great yogis, practitioners, who spend their life in caves for for years and years or for whole lifetime, disregarding all the physical hardship that they have to go through. Why are they able to go through such kind of harsh, physical harsh difficulties concerned? Is because of the power of their mind, right? When the mind overpowers the body, then nothing can stop you from accomplishing the Dharma. Like Milarepa, for example. But in our case, it's actually opposite. In our case, our physical comfort, our physical comfort has overtaken the state of the mind. For us, it's all about physical comfort, actually. So like we say, in your own, zone of comfort, something like that. So we kind of care so much about this physical well-being, this physical comfort, that we almost totally disregard the mental discomfort, so to say. So in this way then, so I think this is why common people are so successful in making money in, let's say, in material things, right? Common people. But yogis are opposite. Yogis or good practitioner they are so successful in developing the inner realization, the power of the mind, the comfort or joy of the inner mind rather than physical mind. So therefore, yogis never ever are able to develop any kind of material aspect, right? I don't know if this is true or not, but Tibetans would say that, but now I don't, it's actually true. But back in time, maybe. It says the reason why most of the people in Tibet were poor is because most of them were yogis. There is some, some understanding to that, actually. It is very true. But it doesn't have to be Tibet. It can be India too. I mean, it started in India. In India, actually it is to some extent still very true that all these hundreds and thousands of siddhas appeared, and then they never cared about, I guess, the material gains. They only cared about spiritual things, right? They were so much into intellectual. In India, I'm talking about. They were happy with only 3 clades, they call it, only 3 clothes. That's it. But they were so much into all these intellectual things that it was just crazy. That's why I think, I'm not saying the Western was not so very rich, but India really is the most rich country from culture point of view. From this, yes. You cannot find something like that anywhere in the world at all. Why you think? It's actually because of that. They got into this, If these were all scientists, all these Buddhists and Buddhas were scientists, Tibet would be, the first most developed country in the world, I guess. But it became opposite. I'm just giving an example like this. So that's what's happening with us, I think. We kind of put our effort in different, field, and then accordingly we develop different things. In the Western world, you put effort in science. Science is just, skyrocketing, whatever you call that. And then Dharma, of course, is lacking over there. So it depends where you put your effort or your energy. We say, like, if I must put my energy and my effort on the path in the Dharma, I will really, really become successful. But if I didn't, then I won't. It's very simple. So it depends.
Bueno, ahora vamos con la 4ª estrofa de las paramitas. Es el verso 28. Voy a leerlo. Dice, viendo que hasta los escuchas, los Shravakas y realizadores solitarios, Pratyekabudas, quienes realizan su propio bienestar, se esfuerzan como si estuvieran apagando fuego sobre sus cabezas, por el bien de todos los seres, realizaré esfuerzo entusiástico, fuente de todas las cualidades, es la práctica de los bodhisattvas. Bueno, entonces la diligencia, la cuarta paramita, digamos, todos sabemos de qué se trata y es una cualidad absolutamente indispensable para tener éxito en todo, no solamente en el Dharma, sino también en el mundo ordinario. Pero pues obviamente acá nos vamos a preocupar de la diligencia o del esfuerzo gozoso que debemos poner en el conocimiento del Dharma. Digamos que todo arranca con la renuncia. Si nosotros tenemos clara la renuncia, entonces pues nos preocuparemos de tener un mejor entendimiento del Dharma y esa será la base de nuestro crecimiento. Eh, Podemos pensar en los yogis, en el Tíbet y en la India, que se pueden pasar toda una vida metidos en una cueva, pasando pues obviamente muchas dificultades físicas. ¿Por qué? ¿Cómo lo logran? Pues lo logran gracias a la energía de su mente, que se sobrepone al cuerpo. Cuando se tiene este tipo de motivación, entonces nada se opone, nada se atraviesa en nuestro desarrollo espiritual. Recordemos, por ejemplo, la vida de Milarepa, que no le preocupaba en absoluto su confort físico. En cambio, en nosotros, digamos, todo está basado en conseguir nuestro confort físico. Eso es lo que nos domina, ¿sí? Nos preocupamos tantísimo por nuestro confort físico que nos olvidamos de que nuestra mente está sufriendo, ¿sí? Y creemos que lo importante es seguir, digamos, acumulando confort físico. Eh, eh, Eso lo vemos claramente en la gente con mucho dinero, que acumulan y acumulan mucho dinero, pero cuando vamos a ver, pues sus mentes son, digamos, un desastre, ¿sí? En cambio, los yogis o los practicantes no se preocupan del confort físico y por el contrario, se preocupan, digamos, por el confort mental, por la paz, la claridad y el gozo que se experimenta por medio de la meditación. En Tíbet teníamos un dicho, el Khempo dice, ya no sé qué tan cierto sea, pero pues nosotros decíamos que el Tíbet era un país tan pobre, pues porque todos nos habíamos enfocado en ser yogis. Bueno, esto no es cierto solamente para la India, cierto para el Tíbet, digamos, en la India es todavía más cierto. Y es que en la India sí, hoy en día todavía hay cientos de miles de yogis que se puede decir están contentos con 3 trapos. Eso es lo único que tienen, porque para ellos todo está en la mente y no buscan ningún tipo de confort físico. Eh, si en vez de estar buscando esa paz mental se hubieran dedicado a la ciencia, pues hoy entonces sería el país más desarrollado del mundo. Pero pues todo tiene que ver con en qué ponemos nuestro interés, nuestra diligencia. En Occidente, por el contrario, la motivación está basada en el confort físico, en lo externo, y pues obviamente han desarrollado digamos, una forma de vida muy placentera y tienen muchísimo conocimiento científico. Digamos, han desarrollado cohetes y naves espaciales y todo eso. Pero pues nosotros acá lo que tenemos que entender es que si yo quiero tener éxito en el Dharma, pues obviamente debo enfocarme en el Dharma y en eso poner toda mi motivación. Ok, Khempo.
All right, so now moving on to the fifth paramita, yes, which is paramita of concentration. So paramita of concentration is actually synonymous with calm abiding meditation, Shine meditation. Here it refers to this state of the mind, one-pointed state of the mind. But generally we say virtuous, one-pointed state of the mind. It is not only one-pointed concentration, but in nature it's virtuous. So one-pointed, one-pointed virtuous concentration, meditation, so to speak. Now, calm abiding meditation is source of all kind of clairvoyance, that which Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, great yogis, used to help sentient beings, like reading the mind of other sentient beings' mind, reading the mind of other sentient beings, the ability to, read their capacity, karma, so on, actually, all these kind of things. So that's why this Shine meditation is important. But at the same time, this shamatha, calm abiding meditation, is also the ground for the sixth paramita, actually. Because the sixth paramita is the paramita of wisdom, the exalted wisdom. So these two, are cause and result, we can say, from the perfection or perfecting of one-pointed concentration, the exalted wisdoms of the sublime beings are actually born. So and then the sixth paramita, I'm saying together, the exalted wisdom of these bodhisattvas are two kinds, right? The exalted wisdom during the meditation time, and then the exalted wisdom during the post-meditation time. Both are the sixth wisdom, sixth paramita, which is paramita of wisdom. So wisdom here refers to the, let's say, the realization of two kinds of emptiness, we can say, the emptiness of self and the emptiness of phenomena. So that's the wisdom beyond the world. But then sometimes the wisdom is, the common wisdom is the wisdom that has the capacity to distinguish right from wrong, actually. The wisdom that has the capacity to know what is to be adopted, then what is to be abandoned, right? Karma point of view. So those are different types of definition of the wisdom, and different kinds of wisdoms. Okay.
Bueno, entonces seguimos con la quinta paramita, la de la concentración. Es el verso 29. Voy a leerlo. Dice, sabiendo que la introspección o visión profunda, vipassana, basada totalmente en la calma, shamatha, conquista completamente todas las emociones conflictivas, kleshas, cultivar la concentración que trasciende las cuatro absorciones sin forma, espacio infinito, conciencia infinita, la nada, ni percepción ni no percepción, o ni discernimiento ni no discernimiento. Esta es la práctica de los bodhisattvas. Entonces, acá la quinta paramita, la concentración, es, digamos, el sinónimo de la meditación de la calma mental, o shine, ¿sí? Y es un estado de concentración, o más precisamente una concentración unipuntual virtuosa. Y esa concentración unipuntual virtuosa es el origen de la clarividencia. La clarividencia es la facultad que tienen los yogis y los grandes lamas de poder leer nuestras mentes, ver entonces cuál es nuestra capacidad, cuál es nuestro karma, y podernos, digamos, asesorar o guiar en nuestro desarrollo espiritual. Entonces, Shine o Shamatha, o la meditación de la calma mental, es la base de la sexta paramita, que es la de la visión penetrante, la vipassana o la meditación introspectiva, que nos desarrolla la sabiduría, la sexta paramita. Estas dos, entonces, la quinta y la sexta, podríamos verlas como causa y resultado. y son también el origen de la sabiduría exaltada de todos los bodhisattvas que entonces desarrollan esta sabiduría no solamente durante la fase de meditación, sino también durante la fase de post-meditación. Y así entonces pueden realizar los dos diferentes tipos de vacuidad, la vacuidad del yo y la vacuidad de todos los fenómenos. Pero a nivel nuestro, pues digamos, nos da el conocimiento común, el conocimiento ordinario que nos ayuda a saber qué acciones debemos cultivar y qué acciones debemos abandonar. Ok, Khempo.
So now you can see that for us, fifth parameter, which is concentration, Shine is actually very important, the calm abiding, because I don't think we have this ability to, to gain the sixth, parameter yet, the exalted wisdom yet. So we depend on Shine, on calm abiding. By depending on calm abiding, by training on calm abiding meditation, it helps to bring down the intensity of our emotions completely. That's why the word calm, calm. It means this state of one-pointed concentration has the ability to calm the mind. What mind is that? That is the mind that is, distracted. Mind that is completely distracted and mind that is manifestation of emotion, that's the mind. And this meditation has the ability to reduce that, to really reduce that, to calm that. So that's why really Shine is actually very good, actually important for us to do that practice. And then as far as the sixth paramita is concerned, sixth paramita, the exalted wisdom is, is achieved, through the stages of the Shine actually. As we progress in Shine practice, then that will lead us to this exalted wisdom, or to the Lakton, meaning the insight meditation. Meditation is insight meditation. It will lead us to that. Without the ground of calm abiding meditation, there is no way that one can achieve the insight meditation. Okay.
Bueno, para nosotros la práctica de Shine o de la meditación de la calma mental es muy importante, porque en este momento no tenemos la capacidad para realizar la sexta paramita, la de la sabiduría trascendental. Por eso entonces debemos esforzarnos en practicar lo mejor posible la quinta paramita, que reduce nuestras emociones negativas, nos trae una calma mental, nos trae una mente no distraída, que es la base para poder desarrollar la sexta paramita, la de la sabiduría exaltada. Entonces, la sexta paramita se logra con una buena práctica de la quinta paramita, de la visión penetrante. Sin desarrollar esta quinta paramita, es imposible desarrollar la sexta.
Okay. So, okay, you guys have heard a lot about shamatha and vipassana. Actually, I think also from Lama Ole many times, because he gave this teaching on Mahamudra of the Third Karmapa's book. So Third Karmapa's book, the Mahamudra prayer, is all about Shine and Lakton. So if you have that book, then you can read from that. More informations are there. Yes. Okay, so now I think I'm going to stop here for today.
Bueno, Khempo dice que nosotros probablemente ya hemos oído mucho sobre la meditación de Shine o Shamatha y Lakton o Vipassana, no solamente en las charlas ahora, sino también en tiempos anteriores con Lama Ole, con todos los cursos que él hacía sobre el Mahamudra del tercer Karmapa, que básicamente está hablando de eso, de los dos tipos de meditación, la meditación de la calma mental y de la visión penetrante. Entonces, bueno, vamos a parar por ahora. Hoy, pues digamos, ya estamos acabando.
Okay, so I guess I'll take couple of questions and then we stop. If there is any questions.
Pero, pues, si hay alguna pregunta o si hay preguntas, entonces el Khempo podría responderlas. There is one here already.
Okay.
La ecuanimidad es la forma en la que podemos trascender la dualidad. Is equanimity the way to transcend duality?
Equanimity and duality are very different. Even the word is different, right? There are different kinds of equanimity. A neutral state of the mind. If you say equanimity from the neutral state of the mind, then it is a state of a mind where no emotions are present. At least no gross emotions are present, then it's called a neutral state of the mind. It's not exactly a state of a mind where there are no dualism. Actually, there is dualism. We'll never stop experiencing dualism, actually. But there can be a time, actually very often, when we would not be experiencing any kind of gross emotions whatsoever. So that time period is, then we can say equanimity or neutral state of the mind.
Entonces, bueno, ecuanimidad y no dualidad son dos cosas diferentes. Aún las palabras son diferentes. Podríamos decir, ecuanimidad es el estado mental en el que nosotros podemos permanecer sin emociones perturbadoras, o al menos sin las emociones perturbadoras más burdas, ¿sí? Pero eso es diferente a un estado mental sin dualidad. De hecho, pues un estado mental sin dualidad es muy difícil de conseguir, eso solamente lo logra un Buda. Pero nosotros sí podemos experimentar momentos en los que, digamos, no tenemos emociones perturbadoras fuertes y eso es lo que esa es la, digamos, la ecuanimidad que estamos buscando. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Aquí llegó otra. Es mejor dedicar más tiempo a nuestra práctica que ayudar a nuestros semejantes. Would it be better to devote more time to our practice than to help our siblings, our people around us?
Actually, it's opposite, right? It's opposite, really. It's about helping sentient beings. So it's, I think it's, if we use our Dharma knowledge towards our families, that's a good opportunity. So if our family present this opportunity for us to use this, this Dharma knowledge, this Dharma education, actually. So we start there, like Gambupa and many others says. We start there, our Dharma practice. We start our Dharma practice from our family, from our siblings, and then, to the rest of the world.
No, de hecho es lo opuesto. Nuestra práctica está basada como práctica de bodhisattvas en ayudar a los demás. Entonces debemos, eso sí, usar todo el conocimiento que hemos ganado del Dharma y aplicarlo en las oportunidades que tenemos de ayudar con nuestra familia. Se puede decir, la práctica con nuestra familia es lo que después nos podrá permitir practicar por el beneficio de todos los seres sensibles. Entonces, no se trata de abandonar a los seres por dedicarnos a la práctica, sino usar a las oportunidades que tenemos con nuestros seres cercanos para profundizar nuestra práctica.
I'm not, by saying this, I'm not saying you have to teach Dharma to your siblings. You don't have to teach them. You don't have to, never try to, throw your view onto them, so to speak. That's not a good thing actually at all. So don't try to really, teach them or educate them as a Buddhist. When I say help, I literally mean helping, not helping in terms of giving them Dharma educations. That may not work. So don't do that, actually. I'm saying more from the point of view of, actually really helping in whichever way one can help. But you keep your own, your own education, your own knowledge to yourself, and you use that, you use that knowledge, that understanding to help them in a much more better way, in a much more, pure way, actually. Your help will become more pure when the base of your help is your Dharma knowledge. That's what I meant to say. So don't say, oh, this, Buddhist perspective, this is impermanent, think about impermanence. Don't do that, actually. Not that.
Bueno, cuando digo que debemos ayudar a nuestros familiares, a nuestros hermanos y todo eso, no me refiero a que debemos tratar de convertirlos al budismo, de meterles el Dharma por la fuerza. Esto no funciona. Cuando digo ayudarles, me refiero a ayudarlos en la forma convencional, de ver qué necesitan y poder dárselos. Y nosotros sí mantenemos el conocimiento del Dharma y tratamos de profundizarlos, porque en la manera en que nosotros tengamos un mejor entendimiento del Dharma, tendremos también una mejor forma para ayudarlos. There's another question. How can I start to cultivate the practice of the generosity? ¿Cómo podemos empezar la práctica de la generosidad?
How can we start? Actually, we can start anytime, I'm thinking, right? Whenever there is an opportunity, you start right from there. Let's say there is let's say someone needs your help. You start from there helping, right? Someone needs a ride. You give them ride. That's helping, actually. That's generosity. So it's all generosity, really.
Pues es muy fácil, ¿sí? En cualquier momento pueden aparecer las oportunidades para poder practicar la generosidad. Por ejemplo, alguien necesita que lo llevemos a un sitio y nosotros tenemos un carro, entonces pues le ofrecemos que llevamos. Alguien necesita ayuda, le podemos ofrecer nuestra ayuda, ¿sí? Es tratar de estar abiertos a todas las oportunidades que se nos presentan y aprovecharlas para poder ayudar, compartir, dar algo.
Okay, so I think we'll stop now here, and then we'll continue next Sunday. So, everyone, you have a great Sunday afternoon, and then keep practicing. Then please remember to practice these 2 long life Buddhas, okay? remember, Amitayus and Vaitara. It's very important. And then Chinesic as well. Whenever you can do Chinesic mantra, it's very, very, very good. So don't forget that. And then I'll see you guys next Sunday. And thank you.
Bueno, entonces, con esto vamos a parar ahora. Les deseo que tengan una buena semana. Recuerden practicar los dos Jidams que dan larga vida, Amitayus y Tara Blanca. Y pues también practiquen Chenrezig lo más que puedan, reciten el mantra o Mani Padme Hum. Entonces nos vemos dentro de 8 días.
And Makala, you must do Makala every evening. We didn't do, but you guys please do Makala.
Y también hagamos Mahakala, por favor, todas las tardes antes del anochecer, repetir la invocación de Mahakala. Esto es muy importante para nosotros. Thank you very much, Khempo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khempo.
Thank you, Khempo.
Thank you, Khempo.
Thank you so much.
Khempo.
Thank you, Khempo.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Carlos, gracias.
Mucho gusto.
Gracias, Carlos.
Thank you, Khempo. Thank you, Khempo.
Thank you.
Gracias, Carlos.
Con mucho gusto.
Muchas gracias.